ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the official press conference for Termination Day, our heavyweight showdown between the crossover star that is Paul Gallen and the Australian heavyweight champion Justis Huni. Of course, you can watch this fight live on Main Event Television. You can order via Foxtel or KO, and this will all take place on Wednesday night here at the ICC in Sydney, where there are still some tickets available via Ticketek. The first fight, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's a stacked undercard, and then, of course, we have that massive heavyweight fight between Paul Gallen and Justis Huni. As you can see, we're joined here today by the main event fighters as well as a number of the fighters on this undercard. This is all brought to you by D&L Events. The promoter is Dean Lonergan, who I'll speak to firstly. And Dean, how do you feel that this fight has been received here in Sydney and around Australia?
I think the fight's been received extremely well. We've had enormous amounts of media, particularly in Queensland and New South Wales, and looking forward to what I think will be a massive fight night on Wednesday night. I think we were here 3 weeks ago, and I said back then that we couldn't get as much media out of anyone in the world of boxing that Paul Gallen brings to the table, with the exception of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Paul's lived up to his part of the bargain. Now it's up to Justis on our side of the coin to live up to his part of the bargain, and that is to knock Paul out on Wednesday night, which we're very, very sure is going to happen. I would like to make mention of the fact, of course, to our wonderful sponsors, Ben. Palmerbet, who is a presenting sponsor, and I've got a little bit of news about Palmerbet a little bit later on. And of course, Rapid Loss and Culture Kings are on board for this fight, and we're extremely grateful to have them on board.
Dean, how have ticket sales gone, and how do you expect it to track via pay-per-view? A lot of hype in the lead up to this fight. How do you think we're going to perform?
Look, I think this is going to be... It's a fascinating fight for a lot of people. For those of us in the boxing world, we know exactly what this is. And I'm going to put this into the terms that Australian punters will truly understand, because I've got a little bit of a punting story to tell you. And that is, we're in a two-horse race. On my left, this is Winks. Right, this is probably the best prospect ever to come out of Australia, certainly the best prospect at heavyweight, and could go on to do great things if he lives up to his potential. Of course, Justis, we're expecting to knock out Paul Gallen and go on to the Olympics. He's favoured to medal. We think he's going to get gold and then come back. And if Paul's brave enough to go again, and he has got balls the size of watermelons, and they're made of steel, there's no doubt about that, because he's brave enough to step up. But if this is Winks in a two-horse race, this is Eeyore. And it's been described on a number of occasions as to what we think about his boxing ability. Now, there's no doubt Paul is one of the all-time great rugby league players. But he's now going into a sport where he's been in the entertainment business, and I said this before, we're now going into the hurt game. And no matter how hard little Eeyore trains, no matter how fast his little legs go, it ain't going to help him when he's up against Winks. And it's fair to say that Palmerbet, our wagering partner, agree with me. And as of about an hour ago, they paid out on Justis to win head-to-head on all bets. So it's fair to say, if you, Palmerbet, agree with me that this is going to be a one-horse race, there's going to be a lot of people think that that's not the case, which is great, but I would suggest this, that about 100% of Queenslanders, and for whatever reason, 95% of New South Welshmen don't seem to like Paul Gallen, and they want to see him get knocked out. That is going to happen. And it's fair to say this, come and watch this fight on Wednesday night just to find out for an interesting factor, because Paul over here will debate the fact forever and a day. But on Wednesday night, the talking and the bullshit stops and the fighting starts. My guy might not be the greatest talker in the world yet, but that's going to come. But he is the greatest puncher in the world to come out of this country in a very, very long time. And that's what counts most.
So, Dean, is it fair to say you give Paul Gallen absolutely no chance in this fight?
Less than zero. I said this, is that when he played against the Queensland State of Origin as captain of New South Wales, he faced him 8 times and he won once. Well, he's got far less chance of winning in this fight than what he did as State of Origin captain. That hasn't changed, and Palmerbet agree with me, because they've paid out head-to-head winning already on Justis.
We'll get a response from Paul Gallen a little bit later on, but firstly, Dean, before we speak to the undercard, you want to give us some thoughts on these undercard fighters?
This is a really exciting undercard for me. In particular, I've been waiting for quite some time. You're going to be talking to Jason Waitley in the front here. Jason's a cruiserweight. He stands about 6'5". I think he's had 9 fights for 9 wins. He's went well as an amateur. He's been sparring with Paul a heck of a lot, and Paul was adamant that we got Jason on the card no matter what it was. So we've got him on. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight, because I've got another fighter in Jai Opataya who's very soon going to be fighting for a world title at cruiserweight, and Jason one day will be a great opponent for him. Over here we've got Andre Mikhailovich. Andre is a special project of mine out of New Zealand, 15 fights for 15 wins. He's at middleweight at the moment. He can come down to super welter. One day he may be a good opponent for perhaps Tim Tszyu. Time will tell on how he comes down in weight. And of course we've got another Kiwi in Nort over here, Nort Beauchamp, fought Brock Jarvis I think only 3 or 4 weeks ago up against Sammy Goodman. And that's going to be one hell of a fight. So I think we've got a very evenly matched undercard. And of course the main undercard fight, Iman Carlos over here, who has historical roots to New Zealand as well, even though he's living here, I think, in Melbourne at the moment. And of course Isaac Hardman down the end. Isaac, for those of you who saw our fight night where Justis took on Christian Zoy, did an exceptional job against a fighter that I used to promote in Robert Berridge. Berridge has been in a couple of world title fights and just pulled Berridge apart and destroyed him. And Isaac's on to, I think, many great things, maybe before the end of this year. He's coming up 10-0 with any luck. You know, I'm hoping that, and I hate to say this, E-Man, but I'm hoping that he has a solid victory over you and he goes 11-0. And mate, that's the business we're in. And dreams can be shattered very, very quickly in the sport, and that's what I think. My guys are here because I think I've got a stable. I'm not in this sport to participate. We're here to win, and we'll take any and all fights, but we take fights that we pretty much know we're going to win, which is why Justis is in here with Paul Gallen, because we know 100% that while Paul is probably one of the greatest salesmen in the world when it comes to selling fights, he ain't the greatest fighter, and you're going to find that out on Wednesday night.
Much that's our co-main. Thank you to Emmanuel Carlos and to Isaac Hardman. So you'll see them before the main event on Wednesday night. Of course, the main event is between Paul Gallen and Justis Huni. We're going to speak to those fighters in just a moment. But firstly, to the father and trainer of Justis Huni, Rocky. How has his preparation been, given that he did fight 3 weeks ago at this venue and heads into this major fight? Do you look back on that fight now as though you did need it, or was it a mistake?
How I look back on that fight, I think it's a fight that we needed, especially with how hard sparring, it is to get good sparring. He was definitely a tough, a tough opponent, a lot tougher than probably we expected. But in saying that, he had 3 months to prepare for that fight, so we knew what we were getting into when we took the fight. And the main thing for us in that fight was to make sure we came out of it with no injuries, because obviously this is the fight that we targeted.
The promoter of this event, Dean Lonergan, has had a fair few things to say here today, particularly about the chances that he gives Paul Gallen. What do you think? Is he on the money?
Look, yeah, Dean and I, we'll probably have different opinions on how the fight will go. I don't want to talk for Justis. He'll telling himself what he's going to do in the fight. But we've got no excuses coming into this fight. It was a good preparation. He's not injured. I know he's going to go into this fight feeling fit and confident.
So you see Gallen bringing more than what Dean thinks?
I hope so. I hope it's the best Gallen we've seen.
It's not what he tells me in private.
Look, I don't want any excuses from his camp. Certainly we're not going to give any excuses. We just want the best version, not just Gallen, on whoever fighter we fight. But we hope Gallen has trained and, we see it on social media. He's trained, he's flown around the country. He's done a lot of sparring with a lot of guys that Justis has sparred with in the past. So, yeah, I really hope, he comes in this fight prepared and ready.
Okay, thank you very much to Rocky Hooney. So now we go to the two main event fighters, starting with the Australian heavyweight champion, Justis Huni. Justis, how are you, mate? This has been a major build-up for you to your first pay-per-view headline event. How are you coping with the build-up, first and foremost?
Yeah, Ben, I'm doing very good. Yeah, I've been able to handle all of this pretty good. So yeah, I just can't wait for Wednesday night. Get to go on there and finally throw hands. Put all the talking aside.
You've been here in Sydney for a couple of days now. What have people been saying to you as you're walking down the street and as you're moving around the place? What are they thinking?
Yeah, there's just a lot of people just wishing me luck and all the best. So, yeah, it's pretty good down here. It's been a pretty good atmosphere so far. Just walking around, it's been busy, so just can't wait to get in the ring.
Have they given any thoughts on your opponent?
No, not really. No.
No one's asking you to do anything to help him out and knock him out or anything like that?
The last time I was here, I had a few people, ask me to knock his head off, knock him out. But yeah, it's been pretty good since coming back. So, yeah.
We saw you 3 weeks ago and you were boxing that night. Should we expect anything different this time around? Will there be more aggression? Is there a willingness to try and finish this fight if you get the opportunity?
Yeah, once again, I'm going to come out and box. And then, yeah, if the opportunity's there to end the fight, I'm definitely going to jump on it this time. Lift up the intensity. So, yeah, it should be good.
Your promoter doesn't seem to give Paul Gallen any sort of a chance. When you've looked at his fights, do you see anything there that provides any risk to you at all?
He's just tough. He's fit, durable. So that's pretty much what we prepared for. Boxing-wise, I think I've got him covered. So yeah, it should be a good fight.
Tell us how it goes down, Justis, on Wednesday night from the opening bell to the finish. What do you see happening?
You just have to wait and see. Just looking at giving the viewers what they want to see. Entertaining fight. It's gonna be a good competitive show. So yeah, I can't wait for it.
Yeah, we certainly can't wait. That is Justis Huni. He, of course, will fight against this man, an NRL star, now an undefeated heavyweight boxer, Paul Gallen. Paul, you got to respond to what was said at the top, I guess, the donkey comment.
I've been called a donkey, a pig. I've been called everything. I think he said 100% of Queenslanders don't want me to win, 95% of New South Wales. Well, I can tell you I know exactly 100% of none of them people, so I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks of me. I've got my circle, I've got my family, that's all I need to be concerned about, what they think of me. And I'm well prepared for this fight, and I think Dean knows I'm not really concerned about what he says or what anyone else thinks of me. So I'll just move on, do what I do, which is train hard, and I have trained really hard and prepared for this fight. I'm looking forward to this fight, and we get in there Wednesday night and get to sort all this out.
Whether it's true or not that he gives you no chance, do you think their team is overlooking the threat that you provide?
Yeah, they're overlooking me without a doubt. I've read all their comments. Their number one concern is the Olympics. That's their number one concern. I'm here to tell all of you, Justis, you included in your team, I'm here to do everything I can to make sure you don't go to the Olympics. Whether it's break your jaw, break your face, break your arm.
Bring it.
I don't care what it is. I'm going to do everything I can to break something in you so you don't go to the Olympics. That dream since you've been 7 years old is going to be fucked. I'm going to do everything I can. Mate, I don't care if it's your arm.
Your boxing
you're lucky
career is
there's a
going to be
referee
over.
in there. I'm going to do everything I can to break something in there. I'm going to try and break something in there. You know that. Just make sure you know that.
Let's go.
Okay? Everything. Anything I can. I don't care what the referee does. Anything. And try and ruin your dream.
Let's get it. Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Where's that come from, Gal? Do you see weakness in Justis?
Well, he's quit before. And this fella down here said, I don't trash talk, I talk facts. And he has walked off before, he's quit before. Now, that's a fact. I'm not making that up. He's got to a championship final and walked off. Now, he said he had a sore stomach. He said he had a sore stomach the whole week. The only thing what people don't know is I know you fight every 2 days leading into it. So what was wrong with your stomach 2 days before that, or the previous 2 days, or the previous 2 days? Nothing. You got to a final.
I fought with it in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, so when you make the final and you don't fight the final, you fucking coward. You make the final and you don't fight the final.
You say you
play making the grand final, not playing the grand final.
It's different because you can hide behind other players, mate. You can't hide in boxing.
No, exactly, you can't hide in boxing. And you had the chance to fight in a final and you dogged it. That's always going to be in you, mate. Somewhere that's always going to be in you. It's always going to be there.
I had no energy.
Whether I find it or not, someone will find it one day. Someone will find it one day. And I'm determined to find it. All I do is find that chink in the armour and I find it and I expose it. But the fact is, that's a fact. I'm not making nothing up there. He has quit before. And at some stage he will quit again.
Last time out, we saw you against Lucas Brown. You charged across the ring. You stopped him in the first round. Do you envisage something similar this time around? Last time you said you knew that's what would happen.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. Maybe I'll wake up on the day and see what happens that day. But look, he's a good boxer. I'm not taking anything away from that. As I said, I talk facts. He's a great boxer. He's got speed. He's got talent. But I've got a good motor. I've got a big heart. I'm going to be coming forward at him all day. I'm going to hit him as hard in the first minute as I do in the 10th round if we get that far. I'm doing everything I can to finish him. I said, I'm determined to hurt him. I'm determined to hurt this bloke and do everything I can to make sure he doesn't go to the Olympic Games. Whether that means I break something on him, I don't care what it is. I don't care how I do it. But rest assured, I'm doing everything I can to make sure he does not go to that Olympic Games.
It's a different side of you, Paul. We don't usually see you speaking like this. What's happened? Is it something that he said in the build-up or that Dean said?
It's the fact that, like I said, they're looking past me. They're looking at the Olympic Games. That's their number one goal. I know that's their number one goal. And they've taken this fight probably to make
Not
some
looking
coin, which is
past
fair enough.
you. We've
Probably to make
looked
some coin,
past
which is
you.
fair enough. Rocky. You know what the most embarrassing thing is? A father trying to live their failed sporting career through their son. So sit there and shut up. All right,
Yes,
so
buddy.
that's
Thank
what
you.
they're doing. They're looking past me, and I'm determined, as I said, to hurt them.
Anything else you want to add?
Mate, as I said, I'm just talking facts. I don't talk shit. I don't make stuff up. Everything I said is 100% true, 100% correct.
All right, your
I
prediction.
like Gallen.
Give us your prediction then. Bell rings, what happens?
Oh, look, it's going to be a hard fight. I understand that. He's going to box. He's very fast. He can move very well. So to be able to catch him in that first few rounds is going to be tough. But I think if I get through the first 5 or 6 rounds, I think I'd knock him out in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th round, somewhere, and then I think I can knock him out late.
Justice, do you want to respond? Just give us a final comment after all that has been said here between yourself and Paul Gallen.
No, yeah, we just wait till Wednesday night, and we'll get it done. Put the talking behind us.
Yeah, we will. Thank you very much. So we'll get these two main event fighters to face off. If we could just get some of the others out of the way. They'll face off for the cameras for Wednesday night's huge night of action on main events. Of course, we have the weigh-in tomorrow, midday at this very venue. Then we have the fights Wednesday night from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on main event. You can order via Foxtel or KO. And this is our main event for the Australian heavyweight title. The holder is Justis Huni. He takes on the undefeated Paul Gallen. We'll get them to face each other. That is our main event. It's Paul Gallen and Justis Huni. You'll see it on main event. Thanks so much for joining us at the official press conference. I'm Ben Damon. I'll see you at the fights.